Hi everyone, this is Balázs from RacingBrick. I know many of you are waiting for the missing June reviews. Don't worry, they are coming. The Speed Champions Ferrari is already here. I also have the Technic Charger, the rest of the Technic sets are on the way, and I even have a bunch of city sets waiting to be filmed. It's a busy period, but I will get through all of them soon. Today, however, it's time for our monthly Rebrickable video, and I decided to bring you something a bit unusual. Not a recent alternate build, not a modern hypercar, but a true classic. If you are into Technic, especially custom Technic builds, then I'm sure the name Madoca1977 rings a bell. He's an absolute legend in the community, sharing incredible creations for many years. I think it's fair to say that many Technic builders, myself included, were inspired by his building techniques and clever engineering solutions. If you are not familiar with his work, I highly recommend checking out both his Rebrickable profile and his YouTube channel. I'll link both in the description below. After being inactive for quite some time, he returned last year with this gorgeous Chevy Blazer, and more recently he published the massive Tatra 8x8 build. One of the best things, all of his instructions are available completely free of charge. They are old school photo sequences rather than modern digital instructions, so they might require a bit more patience, but believe me, they are absolutely worth it. Today we will take a closer look at a model that was originally published 12 years ago, the Corvette C3 Stingray. I picked this build for several reasons. First of all, I simply love how it looks, and it might not be obvious at first glance, but this is actually a fully RC model. Second, I wanted to show that Technic doesn't necessarily need dozens of new specialized panels and parts every year to create something impressive. Choosing a subject that translates well into Lego form is often more important than trying to replicate shapes that simply don't work at smaller scales. But let's focus on the build first. In terms of size, it's larger than the car transporter gang cars and roughly comparable to the recent RC Technic sets built around the all-in-one hub. The big difference is that this Corvette has a proper interior and no exposed electronics. And remember, this was designed using the Technic inventory available back in 2014. Those were very different times. It even has opening doors so we can admire the interior, something that the much newer Lamborghini was already missing. Modern RC Technic cars integrate the drive motor, steering and lights into a single hub. This Corvette uses the classic power function system instead, a servo motor for steering, dual large motors for propulsion, and a whole bunch of cabling for the front and rear lights, all neatly hidden inside the bodywork. The Porsche has solid axles front and rear. The Corvette, meanwhile, has a unique rear suspension setup with shock absorbers. The suspension travel isn't huge, but the engineering behind it is really fascinating. The front axle is even more complicated, using two soft springs. Again, the suspension movement is somewhat theoretical, but you really have to appreciate the ingenuity that went into designing it. Originally, the model used the classic power function setup with either the AAA battery box or the rechargeable battery box, together with the good old IR receiver. This particular example has been upgraded with a Buvis 2.0 unit, which conveniently fits into the same space at the rear. So we have steering and drive. It won't break any speed records, but it runs nicely. There are a couple of areas that require some attention during driving, particularly around the front. And what about the lights? I have this toggle switch here in the profile, but turning it on doesn't seem to do anything. The real magic is actually inside the car. This lever on the dashboard simultaneously activates the front and rear lights and raises the hidden headlights all at once. If we open the hood, we can admire the ingenuity of the mechanism. A fairly complex linkage operates the electrical switch, while this link here opens and closes the headlights. It's one of those solutions that makes you stop building for a moment and just smile. Oh, and one more bonus feature, the roof can easily be removed. So this was peak custom Technic design over a decade ago, an instantly recognizable shape filled with electronics, clever mechanisms and creative problem solving. And this is where I think the comparison with modern RC Lego becomes interesting. Today's systems are probably more durable and certainly easier to use, but they are also much simpler and far less flexible. The all-in-one hub only works with the Control Plus app, not the Powered Up app, and despite its capabilities it's also large and bulky. The car is clearly designed around the electronics rather than integrating them into the design. And if we compare the mock with some official Lego Corvettes, I might be a little biased, but this one still holds up remarkably well. Let's not spend too much time on this one. Here's the Speed Champions version. Its scale was simply too small to capture the character of a classic Corvette. This early Corvette from the car transporter gang was rough around the edges, I managed to squeeze in a similar amount of electronics and update the front end back then, but it had no interior whatsoever. Then we have the recent modern Corvette Stingray. No stickers this time, although this is what it looks like with the stickers applied. I know it's not entirely fair to compare a modern Corvette with a classic one, but I do think this highlights an important point. Even with all the new panels and specialized pieces available today, some cars are simply very difficult to capture accurately at a given scale. Choosing the right subject matters more than the parts themselves. Yes, this Madoca Corvette looks old school with its flex axles, large panels and connector-heavy construction, but it's instantly recognizable, the proportions work, it has a true character. It was definitely a fitting choice, executed beautifully. So if you still have some power functions parts lying around at home, I highly recommend giving this build a try. It's a joy to assemble thanks to its complexity, and the finished model still looks fantastic. And with free instructions, what more could you ask for? Let me know in the comments what you think about this amazing build from Madoca. Have you built any of his other creations? And what are your thoughts on the evolution of Technic car design over the years? Let's talk about it in the comment section. If you enjoyed this video, then please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe with notifications, as more exciting LEGO videos are coming soon. See you next time, bye bye.